This Sunday, of course, we celebrate the second Sunday of Easter, but since the year 2000, we've been celebrating it as Divine Mercy Sunday. It was St. John Paul II who decided to name it Divine Mercy Sunday. And even though when we think of Divine Mercy, we think of this particular apparition that came to St. Faustina many years ago, and we think of this picture. Now today, the account is about his appearance to the apostles. The first words he says to them in the upper room are, "Peace be with you." Now, if you were Jesus, would you begin with those words? I probably wouldn't. I mean, here are the men now who deserted him when he needed them the most. People who seem to have forgotten about him. Peter denied him, and he was the leader of his church. And the first words he says are, "Peace be with you," instead of, "Maybe we should talk about what happened last Friday." But he doesn't do that, does he? Because Jesus doesn't just teach. He teaches by his actions. And so by example, he has already forgiven the disciples and shows them his mercy. So that's the gospel. Now let's talk a little more about the Divine Mercy Sunday and why John Paul II chose this Sunday and named it Divine Mercy. Well, what we just read in the gospel is shown very clearly in this picture of Divine Mercy. Of course, the rays are coming from his heart, and it's a red ray which represents the blood that he shed for us, and the white ray which represents the water that came from that pierced side, and that also represents sacramental grace for us. So when we receive baptism, we receive the sacramental grace only because he shed his blood for us. So this picture is actually very significant, and this is how the Lord appeared to St. Faustina many years ago. But I'd also like to draw your attention to another older devotion that we have had in the church for many, many years. This devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Catholics are very familiar with the statue of the Lord, or even a painting of the Lord, with his heart shown out on his chest, and he's pointing to his heart. This was an apparition that happened to another great saint, Mary Marguerite, many years ago in Paris. She was a visitation sister, and while she was adoring the Eucharist on a first Friday of the month in her convent, the Sacred Heart appeared to her, something like this, and reminded her and told her to remind the people that Christ is not a God of retribution or of punishment. He is a God of divine mercy. And so divine mercy was here, but divine mercy was also understood by the people of God many centuries ago as well. And so what the meaning of the Sunday is that we should rely on the mercy of the Lord, that he came not to destroy us or to punish us, but to save us. But the second part of that is very important, and probably more important, that now we, like Christ, are sent out to forgive others in his name, whether it's in the sacrament of reconciliation or whether it's in the work that we do with each other and how we interact in each other's relationships. So Divine Mercy, a wonderful Sunday where we remind ourselves not only of the words of Jesus in the gospel, but also of our own responsibilities as followers of the merciful Christ.